What's up guys, it's Miguel, and in this video what I want to do is I want to go over 3 golden nuggets that I got from the richest man in Babylon. And the reason I want to go over this is because I saw a car pulled over not too long ago, and it actually brought back a lot of memories. Now, just to tell you guys a quick story, not too long ago I was actually struggling to make ends meet. I was struggling to pay my bills, and I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. And it was a very embarrassing moment to where I literally had to pull over on the side of the road because I didn't have enough gas to get to work. So I was just crossing my fingers in hopes that somebody would pick up the phone and would cash at me a couple of bucks just so I could go get some gas and just get to work as soon as possible. And even though it was a very humbling moment and it was very embarrassing to do it, especially to the people that said no, that they didn't have any money either, or that they just simply didn't want to, and I understand. I didn't have the reputation of paying somebody back in a timely manner back then. Even though it was a very cruel moment in a certain sense, it was really eye-opening as well. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to go into what I learned after that. Because it was after that I actually decided to lock in and decided that I was finally sick and tired of owing everybody. I was sick and tired of not knowing where my finances were going, and of just aimlessly working and not having a plan in place to actually get myself into financial freedom. Now, a huge disclosure here, I am not a millionaire by any means, but I am in a comfortable position to where I'm not worried about where my rent is going to be coming at the end of the month. So, richest man in Babylon, the 3 golden nuggets. The very first one is pay yourself first. This is something that I overlooked for so long because it sounds so simple and it sounds like very cliche advice. I've heard it over and over again, and any guru that's worth their salt is going to tell you this piece of advice early on. And because they tell it to you so early on and so repetitively, and I've heard it so many times, it's very easy to overlook. But please don't minimize this piece of advice. Like, this is one of the biggest pieces of advice that was very impactful for me, especially when I was starting on my financial education. And I'm using air quotes because this is like my own personal progress. So this is the very first concept that if you get it down, everything else is going to fall into place. So pay yourself first, regardless of who you owe, regardless of how much you make. If you make $8 that week, then you gotta save 10% of that and put it into your bank account. It doesn't matter how little or how much it is. Just make sure that you get used to, or making it a habit, into getting that 10% and putting it into your financial freedom account. Now, one other caveat that I do want to share is that if you can get your bank account set up to the point to where you don't have to be seeing it visually every single day, to where you can just kind of forget about it, at least for the time being, then I saw that this actually helps a lot of people into not going into there and eating at their savings. What I see time and time again is that if I have it in front of me, it doesn't matter how much I have, I usually tend to manipulate myself, and I end up persuading myself into, all right, well, 20 bucks isn't that much. And then 20 bucks becomes 40, and then 40 becomes 80, and then it just snowballs into the point to where I'm out of savings again. So do yourself a favor and make it difficult for you to actually extract money from your savings. This is for your future self, not for instant gratification. Now, the second piece of advice is avoid debt like the Black Plague. Debt is very popular nowadays. It's something that it's very easy to fall into because everybody else is already doing it. Everybody's getting into debt over... not too long ago, I had a friend of mine literally get into debt into getting some headphones. Like, they were literally making payments just to get some headphones. Now, this may be something that is very normalized now, but this was news to me when I heard about it, that he was making $60 payments for the next 2 months on a pair of headphones. So, I mean, it's just common sense at this point. Like, don't get into debt. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Just save up onto it. Trust me, those headphones are gonna be a lot more enjoyable if you save up to them, and you don't have to be constantly paying them on a weekly basis. I see this time and time again too, where people, they live above their means, they can't afford their lifestyle, and they end up crying at the end of the month because they don't have enough. I mean, I was one of these people too. Like, don't get me wrong, But if you can get this into your mind and just desensitize yourself from getting into debt, then you're going to be ahead of 90% of the crowd. Now, the last piece of advice is to work as much as you possibly can. Now, I'm not saying to work yourself to the bone or to, I mean, if you really, I'm not really the type of person to look into balance. I've never really been the type of person to try to balance everything out. You got to understand that if you try to live a balanced life, it's going to be pretty mediocre. And if you're especially already dug yourself in a hole to where you already owe a lot of people money, or where you're trying to get into financial freedom, then you got to put some elbow grease in, and you got to put in those hours, and you have to start actually working as much as you possibly can. And now, when I say work, I mean as many billable hours as you possibly can. You got to get yourself into the mode to where you're just accumulating as much money as possible. So those are the 3 pieces of advice that I would really, really emphasize onto anybody starting off on their financial education journey. And just to kind of like recollect everything and explain it again. The first one is pay yourself first, 10% of whatever your paycheck is. The second one is avoid debt like the Black Plague. And the third is work as much as you possibly can. It was really nice talking to you, and I'll see you soon. Peace.